Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, which is a relatively new book that is, of course, the sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas, which, honestly, that sounds amazing. And honestly, I'd say that the book is pretty good. It's not necessarily a perfect book, but it is definitely something that I think that a lot of people can find enjoyment from and will enjoy reading this book. And what better time to talk about it than Halloween? So, yeah. Now, I only listened to this book. I did not actually pick up a physical copy of it. Um, so I can't show you like little bits and pieces like I normally do with books. But it's still a rather interesting story, to say the least. This story, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, specifically focuses on Sally about a year after the events of Nightmare Before Christmas, where she is currently dealing with what does she do now that she is actually the Pumpkin Queen. She and Jack have finally gotten married, and after their honeymoon, they have to deal with a lot of stuff. Specifically, Sally has to deal with stuff that her new responsibilities as being the Pumpkin Queen. And honestly, early on, the book does not really feel that much like a Nightmare Before Christmas book, which I think is a bit of an issue on the side of the writer's part. At the same, I think that if it had been made into a movie, I think that would have worked a lot better. But other than that, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it will actually get made into a movie, and then we can actually talk about how interesting it was, and how much better it was than the book. But Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, specifically, like I said, deals with Sally, and I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as I can for this. But basically, the book focuses on Sally as she is dealing with all the stress and chaos that comes with, well, being the Pumpkin Queen. She doesn't really like the idea of being a queen. She just wants to love Jack and be herself, just continue to be the same girl that she has always been, or who she thinks she's always been. That's not ominous at all, but she's coming to terms with maybe that's not what she actually wants, and is just trying to figure out, what does she have? What does she bring to the table? Is she meant to be the queen? And her doubts get really bad, especially as she and Jack go to Valentine's Town to well, have their honeymoon. They only spend like a day there, but they get to see all of these different things about this different world. And it's the first time that Sally has visited another world, at least canonically. Obviously, if you've played Kingdom Hearts, then you know that Sally has actually visited Christmas Town before, but that's only in Kingdom Hearts. That doesn't count as that's not canon. But this is the first time that she's actually visiting a holiday town. She's going to Valentine's Town, and unfortunately, there is a queen there, and there's so many conflicting emotions that Sally has as she meets another queen for the first time. And there's a lot of other aspects of that throughout the entire book, as what does she do? Later on in the book, she actually goes to the human world and meets Queen Elizabeth while she's asleep. But by meeting Queen Elizabeth II, she actually learns, hey, maybe I can be who I want to be. She doesn't completely understand much about, she doesn't actually get to meet her in person and talk to her and all of that jazz, but she does get to understand a little bit more about Queen Elizabeth. She sees Queen Elizabeth in a library, sees her sleeping, and starts thinking, about her future. And it's honestly a really sweet moment. And there's a lot of little bits and pieces like that throughout throughout this book, where she's coming to grips with who is she? What does she actually do? And while we're talking about the sleep, that's actually the main antagonist of the book, the Sandman. After having a really stressful first day as queen, Sally runs to the forest, not knowing where to go. Should she go to a different holiday town and try and figure herself out there? Well, she doesn't. She actually goes beyond that and finds a new door. The door to Dreamtown. And yes, that is a little bit of a spoiler, but at the same time, it's not that big of a spoiler. When she's trying to go into the town, though, Zero pulls her away, and they accidentally leave the door open. And the two of them then go off and fall asleep for a little bit, only to wake and find that the entire town is asleep, covered in a thin layer of dust, and it's not good, to be blatantly honest. As she is wandering the town trying to figure out what's going on, she finds out that there is a monster on the loose, which is, of course, the Sandman. And he is causing mayhem all throughout Halloween Town. And as far as she knows, could be anywhere as well, anywhere else. And as she continues on her journey, she does find out that, yeah, he's basically taken over the entire world, knocked them all out. And there's lots of really fun moments throughout the book where she's just, what do I do? What do I do? And about halfway through the book, she goes to Dreamtown. And that's where we're going to stop talking about this, about spoilers and stuff. Because there are some really, pretty much everything else is, pretty much everything that I've talked about up to this point is something that you can kind of glean from just reading the book, the back of the book, and understanding, oh, okay, this is going to be an interesting book. And pretty much any synopsis is probably going to go over that same information, that Sally is on her own and has to figure out these things. And honestly, it's pretty interesting, to say the least, as she is wandering throughout the book, trying to figure out what she needs to do. And honestly, I think that this book is a really good representation of what should be done in stories like this. We've got so many stories where there's main protagonists and they are like, I need to be the most powerful person in the world and all these things. And it's just like, no. Sally rejects the idea of power and basically just wants to live her life, be with her husband, be with her friends and family. She wants things to go back to the way that they were, even if they never will. And it helps her to come to this whole book basically helps her to come to terms with what is going to happen in her future. Is she going to live out the rest of her days? Is she eventually going to die? What can she do? What will she do? And she quickly comes to understand exactly what her whole role in this whole story is meant to be. She may be the hero, but she's also just a girl who wants to live her life. And she gets to do that. Honestly, I'm really excited to see what they're going to be doing from this point forward. As, well, I think that they could absolutely continue to make more books like this. Because there is a little thing at the end of this book that, at least to me, hints that there could be more books. So I think that you should absolutely read this. But understand that it's not going to feel like a Nightmare Before Christmas book for a good little while. It's going to feel just not quite there until you at least get to the Sandman parts. And once you do get there, which it's a good distance into the book, so be aware of that before you start thinking, oh, it's going to take me forever. It's not halfway, it's about maybe a fourth of the way through the book. So be aware that it will take a little bit of time, But hang on, once you get to that point, pretty much everything else after that really feels like a like it's going to be a really interesting book, and it's going to be something that really feels like a Nightmare Before Christmas sequel. But I do have to make one complaint about the audiobook version. Don't get the audiobook version if you unless you struggle like me to actually sit down and read books. Because oh my gosh. This may help you to just get through it as quickly as you can, but the actress, she just keeps she just breathes really, really weird. I know that's a weird statement to make, but she takes in these deep breaths as she's reading the book, and it's just like, what are you doing? Usually you want to cut those things out, and I know that I'm kind of one to talk, especially considering the fact that for my videos, I'm doing them naturally. I'm going to do them however is the most natural way for me to do them, and most of the time it's in one take. But this is not something that was done in one take. It was something that was done in multiple takes, and you can cut that stuff out. Like, even if you wanted to do this in as few takes as you possibly could, you could have just removed that. Because she just breathes in suddenly, and it's like, yeah. It's really bad if you're listening to it on headphones. So don't listen to it on headphones, and listen to it on a speaker, because it's really freaking annoying. Sorry, I really had to go on that rant because it was so annoying as I was reading through the book, as I was listening through the book. Just whenever, especially when I was wearing the headphones, when I was listening to it, where I'm just like hearing, and it's just like, cut that, please. In your vocal videos, cut that part out. You didn't need to keep every little thing. You're gonna make mistakes, and that is one of them. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Like I said, I need to go on that rant, but I know what I'm talking about. I've made many, many songs, and literally every single time that we record a song, we cut out that audio. We cut out that little but I don't know. I have problems with that. But yeah, other than if you can find a different audiobook version, I'd probably go with that one, because yeah, like I said, really annoying. But once you've actually done that, like I said, it'll probably be fine. If you can actually read books faster than I can, then yeah, I suggest actually reading the book just straight, because then you're not going to have to be hearing that constant just going through your ears all the time. So, sorry. I'm sure you're a great person, whoever, I'm sorry I don't remember what your name was, but please, next time that you do an audiobook, please cut those out. And to the team behind that, that actually recorded that and didn't edit those breaths out, stop it. Like, you put the frickin' music in between takes, and between the actual parts, and yet you... Sorry. I had to... That was an important rant to me. But the book is good. Listen to the... read the book. Don't listen to it, because you're not going to want to be like me, going crazy about those freaking breaths. Also, I finished it in about 2 days, so that was fun. Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. And of course, if you guys do have any theories, make sure to leave them in the comments and say theory review somewhere in your comment, and we'll talk about it in a future video. And of course, if you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias and ways that you can support us financially. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I'll see you guys next time. But on!